listening to the Bourbon Nerds Podcast, episode Suntory Time, featuring Chad Bentley. I'm Cody.
I'm Garrett.
And we are the Bourbon Nerds. Welcome to the Bourbon Nerds Podcast. We got another exciting episode. It's someone's birthday today. How's it going, Mr. Chad Bentley?
It's going well.
Thanks.
He didn't know this, but we're ready to sing. No,
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
Maybe in last call we might drop some happy birthdays.
get a couple drinks in us. It's We'll give you how old are you?
35.
That's a lot of spankings.
That is a lot of
I have to do a lot of spankings today.
I thought you were older than that.
No. Man, that sucks to hear.
No,
we're the same age. I just turned 35.
Yeah.
Cody's just mad because he's still the oldest person in the room.
Old man over here.
When Greg was in here earlier, he was like, thank God there's someone older than me in this room now.
I hate it. I look younger, but oh well, it is what it is. Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm really excited about this. We've got quite a bit of bottles that we're going to be trying today, diving into some Japanese whiskey. And again, we are the Bourbon Nerds. We're not Japanese whiskey experts, but the Japanese whiskey is really rising in popularity. I know that just kind of smelling a couple of these bottles, and we'll talk about them here in a second. But we've got a really exciting episode. Again, I want to thank everyone for the support. We continue to grow our podcast. Downloads are going up every month. Just the support continues to pour in. I think we're starting to build a really nice community and really excited. So, but we've got a fun one. Again, we're going to talk about some Japanese whiskey. Got a couple bottles we'll share with you. And Nerd Rage, we're going to talk a little bit about tattoos, which I don't have any. Whiskey Sideline, we've got some sports updates for you guys, including a huge hockey record that was broken. Pop Culture Pour, we're going to pay some respect to Val Kilmer and talk about some of our favorite movies. Neat and Balanced, we've got some new recipes and stuff that we're going to talk about as we focus on getting fit for the summer. And last call, we've got some important announcements. We may sing Chad happy birthday, and then I'll talk about a little bit about what's been going on in my life.
Give him his birthday spankings.
Yep. So... All right, Chad, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what you're all about.
Yeah, so my name's Chad Bentley. How I met both of you, I met Cody, was it like 20 years ago now?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I'm called Big Bobs.
Yeah, we met at a card shop when we were younger, playing nerd games, and we've just been friends ever since. And
I used to go to Big Bob's back in the day. I wonder if we were all like in the same room and just didn't know. Like I was a Yu-Gi-Oh gamer back then.
You know,
more than likely, yeah.
So Clay English and Tyler Shine, rest in peace, my brother. Those were two of my best friends that we played, and then Lance English. Obviously, Lance became a good friend of mine, which still is. Lance is a good friend of mine. So.
But I don't think I would know either one of you if it wasn't for that card game that we played.
No, I agree.
And I think, we still play it today, so it's...
Do you believe in magic?
Yeah.
So I think it was before I moved, or maybe when I moved back from Barbados, we were in Waco. We were matched up round one. I hadn't seen you in forever. We were both playing Muddy Blue Devotion.
Yeah.
I beat you, but that was like the ugliest, stupid game of like we're playing exactly the same 75 just about, I think.
Yeah.
We had like a couple sideboard cards.
Most of the time we were spending catching up rather than like
yeah, we really were. It was
some of my earliest memories of Cody were like, man, that's that cocky kid that plays at Shannon Shop. I don't like playing against him. And we played in like a semifinal or I think it was for the GPT that I ended up winning to go to New Mexico. And like you were so pissed that when I beat you, I'm like, haha, I beat Cody. It felt good. Yeah. And now we're like best friends. Yeah, so it's really funny how that works out.
Small world. Yeah. If you don't know me very well, I'm a super competitive person. I like to do.
No way. I don't believe you.
I don't know. It's newsflash. That's people didn't probably figure that out. So, so we've got a lot to talk about. We'll definitely ask Chad, and we want to know some questions. I mean, before we kick it off, how did you get into whiskey? Like, I didn't even know you liked whiskey because you moved back because you were in Nashville.
Yeah.
So I remember you came back, and then I think I was at the shop or we were hanging out doing something. And I think I said something about bourbon. Oh yeah, because the guy was I was trading bottles.
Yeah,
I traded 2 OWAs, which is Antique 107 for Stag, because I could at that time never could find Stag. Now I seem to be able to come across it. And then you were like, oh, I like Blanton's, and
yeah. So I got into it, and it's not like a deep into, but like at at a base level, I got into it probably around COVID era.
Oh, so that's pretty
recent.
Yeah, pretty recent. I mean, to be fair, I've only been in it for like a year and a half. So.
To be fair.
Yeah, and I think it kind of stimulated from I was really into craft beer for a long time, and I was actually collecting bottles of craft beers that you could let sit and like kind of do the same thing you would with like a whiskey, where you just don't touch it for several years, and then you go back and kind of pop it open and get a taste of it.
Yeah.
And what I was doing was with Lakewood Brewery, they would put out a specific beer every year that like had like crazy notes and taste and all that stuff in it. And once I kind of moved outside of that, I was like, well, I kind of still want to have something to like lean into. So I chose whiskey because I started drinking like old fashions, going out with friends and stuff. And I was never really, that was like coming out of my comfort zone of drinking beer. Mm-hmm. And like beer just made me feel bloated all the time. So I was like, I need something that's like not going to make me feel miserable.
Yeah.
And so
it definitely makes you feel full.
Yeah. And so this was like a clear like path to move into. And so when I started getting into whiskey, I just could never really find one that really like spoke to me until I moved out until I went to Houston to visit a buddy. And his roommate at the time was like super deep into the whiskey culture and had like a huge bar. And I stayed up with him overnight, and he just kept pouring me different things to like try until I figured out what I liked. And I really, started liking like Buffalo Trace and Blanton's, like all the stuff people usually kind of gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And then he poured me some of this Japanese stuff, this hibiki. And I was like, oh dude, that's like the one, And
yeah.
so, from there, it was like a chase to find that and like find some Buffalo Trace and stuff to just like sip on at the house rather than chugging 4 or 5 beers and like passing out and feeling like crap when you wake up. Like this was like I could drink one, half pour or whatever and feel pretty good.
Yeah.
And then once I moved out to Nashville, that's when it kind of like struck a new light, because I met someone that I was working with through a separate hobby, which was keycaps for keyboards. So I had bought like this really nice what they call as artisan keycaps, where it's like someone hand sculpts it, like makes it a resin and does all this stuff, which is what I was doing when I was living in Nashville as like a side gig. And so we met through that and found out that we worked together. And then when and funny enough, his name's actually Cody.
Weird.
All Codys are nerds, but not all nerds are Codys.
Yeah.
So when Cody came over to deliver me that thing that I bought from, I gave him a tour of my house, and he saw like my little, at the time it was like 6 or 7 bottles of whiskey that I'd brought from Texas. And he was like, oh, are you a big whiskey guy? And I was like, sort of. I'm kind of getting into it. Like, I'd rather drink that than drink beer or like, sip 12 White Claws, because those are too easy to drink and you forget that you're drinking them because they're just water.
Yeah.
Holden's got a White Claw in his fridge back there. If you want to get crazy.
It's got your name on it.
Yeah. Kind of made me start sweating. I was like, if I drink one, I got to go get, another.
Where's the store?
Yeah. But, he then like literally the next day just showed up at my house and brought me a couple more bottles and was like, hey man, here's your housewarming gift. Here's some like harder to find whiskeys in the area. Gave me some cool stuff, and then gave me a bottle that was like a barrel break, I think is what they called it, which is a thing that they do out, and they probably do it everywhere, but basically you bring a bottle, you pour it into a barrel, and they let it sit and simmer for a little bit, and then you get a bottle of what comes out of that barrel. So it's a bunch of different flavors and stuff mixed in.
You see YouTubers doing that a lot. I think that'd be something really cool for us to do eventually, is to get a barrel and do something like that. I think that'd be fun.
We'll do a Bourbon Nerds barrel.
Bourbon Nerds barrel blend.
Yeah, barrel blend. That'd be pretty
It's got a good catch to it.
Yeah, I like it.
But he had done a couple of them, and so he had, extra bottle, and he was like, this one, it's definitely worth a try. I still have it. I drink on it every now and then. It's pretty good. But, that kind of like started my getting into like finding the nicer stuff. But in Tennessee, it's a little bit more difficult because of you're right next to Kentucky. So like all the good stuff is like shows up last Thursday of the month. You have to be in line for it. If you're not in line for it, you're out, So like Cody again was helping me with a lot of that.
Well, and like Randall was alluding to, is the dude from Jack Daniels hates Kentucky, and so I'm sure it's kind of like a rivalry almost between the two states.
Yeah.
So like you could never get Blanton's or Buffalo Trace or anything like that. And like, you know, so moving back down to Texas and walking into my first liquor store to like check to see what they have, and immediately finding a bottle of Blanton's, a bottle of Eagle Rare, and a bottle of Buffalo Trace was just like, well, I'm going to buy them because I could never buy them in Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever the price is, I'll pay it. And I actually got a really good deal on the Blanton's because the dude, I guess, didn't know what he had and sold it to me at MSRP.
Which you should, honestly. Like, I get it. It's a novelty, but it's hard for me to even pay the $84 that Specs and stuff has it for anymore. Like, I don't understand how people are paying $200 for Blanton's personally, but
yeah, and I see that all the time now. It's like I walked into it because I'm trying to find a bottle for a buddy at work for Blanton's. And every time I walk into somewhere, it's 150, 200, 250. And it's like, dude, that's not how this...
Yeah, you told me about that. And like before you said that, like a week prior, I've seen quite a few bottles. But of course, since you said that, I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a minute. It's just like...
I'll come across them at some point and be like, hey, Chad, do you want some Blanton's?
For sure.
And, you know, so it's just one of those things. It's also like, it was kind of a welcoming community out in Nashville where like, even the people at work that were involved with like Cody and all of them, they were very welcoming. So it was like, these are people that I can kind of talk with about stuff. Mm-hmm. They may not necessarily be into every hobby that I'm into, but like we at least have this to lean on. So it was a good way for me to meet people too. So that kind of like what helped me dive into it a little bit there. And I mean, even the company we worked for had a bourbon club that awesome. Like I think like last Wednesday of the month or something, they would get up on the rooftop and everyone would bring a bottle and do bottle shares.
Bottle shares, yeah, those are the best.
And it's like Clerks when they're playing hockey up on the roof.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do that. We need to play hockey up on the roof and bring bourbon.
Yeah, you get this beautiful view of downtown Nashville and Broadway Street where everyone's a chaotic mess and you're just up there drinking bourbon. It's really cool atmosphere, really cool environment. So that's kind of like how I got into whiskey, or like dove into it kind of like head first, was just being out there and trying to find something to like connect with on people, because I couldn't, you know, where I lived at was difficult for me to move back and forth between Nashville and Murfreesboro. So it was like, at least I had this to stick around for at the end of work. I could go do that.
The sense of belonging, the community, right? Which everything we want to create in our community. So I mean,
so it was cool to have that and like, you know, be able to learn from other people. So that's ultimately how I got into it.
Okay, sweet. No, that's cool. That's great that you ever find that outlet. You're starting to obviously hang out with us a little bit more, and I mean, we're trying some Japanese whiskey today, but we've got quite a bit we brought too. You want to try? So so let's go ahead and dive in and talk a little bit about the we've got 3 bottles, but we haven't poured the Nika whiskey from the barrel, which I'm excited to try. I think, Chad, you said that was your favorite.
And it's higher proof. I think that's gonna.
Yeah.
I think just taking a guess, I feel like I'm gonna enjoy that one
as well. Yeah.
You know, let's talk about these, and I'll give my comments on them real quick.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and start off with like kind of the quintessential. When you think of Japanese whiskey, you think of Hibiki.
Yeah, this is Hibiki Suntory whiskey. Obviously, Suntory Beam, Jim Beam, is the owners of this. It doesn't give a lot on the label, so it's not like telling a story as much as like your typical bourbon labels, but. This one's a Japanese Harmony, which I'm guessing is just a special edition of it. It says a meticulous blend of the finest selection of whiskeys. I read online it was a blend of malts and what did I say? Malts and grains.
Malts and
grains. Malts and grains. And then the bag just has the warning. It says product of Japan, imported by Beam Suntory, Chicago, Illinois, which I didn't know Beam Suntory was in Illinois. I guess that's new. Actually, the website on here says www.drinksmart.com.
That's probably just a distributor that they
it could be import company is what it says. But it doesn't really have a whole lot other than that. It's a really cool bottle. The top has the topper has some cool symbols, and it's a really neat bottle. So it's really pretty. We'll post pics on our socials of it.
So let's talk a little bit about the nose and the palate and stuff. What are you guys getting on the nose?
I mean, on the smell, you get some fruit. I can kind of smell, like it has kind of a scotchy smell to it for you Scotch lovers out there.
Yeah.
I was liking this one a little more than the one you have, but they're kind of starting to. I'm starting to get a lot of similarities. So
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of enjoying them pretty similar.
Yeah. I'm not like a huge Scotch guy, but I do like Scotch. Macallan 18 is my absolute favorite Scotch that I've personally had.
And this one's more on like the sweeter side. So it's like the sweeter, I don't know what they call it. I think they call that, is it Islay? Is that the sweeter ones that's the Scotches, or is that the smokier ones?
I think that's the smokier ones, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm nowhere near a Scotch expert by any means.
I can tell you that I don't like the smoky ones.
Yeah.
No, me neither, dude. It's just like drinking
meaty ones, like
It's super peaty.
Yeah, it's like you're drinking a fire, and Fad's like, this is good. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not good.
I don't like to drink a fire pit.
I don't want to feel like I
This
smoked
one's-
a cigarette after I took a drink.
Yeah, this one's really sweet. It's got a lot of good sweet notes to it. It's hard for me to kind of pick it out because honestly, sometimes with the lower proof, I kind of get like
one
really
noter.
quick one notes, and so it's kind of hard for me to pick them out. But it is very sweet from front to finish, so I like that.
What was the proof? I mean, for the proof too, it actually
86 for both of these.
I mean, it's not like a great finish or anything, but I mean, it's not bad for an 86 proofer. Like it drinks, to me, it drinks a little bit, but it is very smooth. Definitely get fruity, kind of the fruity notes. Trying to really pick up that one main note. I
it's
guess
got some
pear.
nice little legs on it, though. Not
Yeah,
bad
it
there.
does. I get some kind of like pear note or something, but I get that a lot in like Japanese whiskeys and some just like different malted barley type whiskey.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick out. I haven't had enough of these kind of whiskeys to really kind of pick out flavors
But
that
I'd
well.
say it's definitely. I definitely enjoy it. I think it's an easy sipper. Definitely
I
something.
can definitely see pear in
Yeah,
stuff.
pear. I get a lot of pear in these types of whiskeys. But I'll talk about the bottle I have. And actually, this one's really growing on me. I'm definitely gravitating towards this. I'm drinking the Yamazaki single malt Japanese whiskey, which is aged 12 years. And that is 86 proof. That bottle runs around $150 in MSRP. It's pretty good.
I will say this one sticks around a little more in your mouth.
Yeah.
And it could be the age. I'm not sure what the age. They didn't really have any information on like the age of some of the stuff they put in the Hibiki, but that one is a 12-year, and that could be the difference in why it kind of lingers a little more.
Yeah, I think it's just got a better mid to back end palate. Similar finish because they're similar in proof, but
I actually get kind of a butterscotch up front, almost like the thickness of it.
Yeah.
it's that kind of malty,
Yeah.
sweets. It kind of gives you almost like a little hint of butterscotch. Couple interesting facts that I didn't know. Just a single malt basically is just a whiskey produced from a single distillery, but they actually say, and this is the mash bill is 100% malted barley, but they actually I was reading that single malt whiskey actually has more antioxidants than wine, which I thought is really interesting. And again, I'll need to do some more research on that, but I've seen that pop up a couple of different articles and things I was reading. So I think that's pretty interesting. And I'll have to see exactly, the make of that. So
Let me see that other little one.
the Nika from Whiskey from the Barrel.
Yeah, this one's a little higher proof. I'm pretty interested in this one. Nika Whiskey from the Barrel. This one's 51.4, which is 102.8, I guess is what it would come out to.
Yeah.
I can't really, it's a lot of Japanese writing. I can't read Japanese guys. And this one, again, doesn't, and that's the thing I like about bourbon is a lot of it has like a story it's telling and stuff. I wish there was a little more stuff on these, but.
I'm glad we got to do this because I've had some Japanese whiskey, but very, very few, or not as much, right? Like some bottle shares and stuff I've had a little bit. But what I wanted to point is like Japanese whiskeys are not cheap. They're kind of in a higher niche price point, kind of along with some of the scotches. The popularity of these are growing, pretty rapidly. There's a lot of people that swear by is it the Hibiki 18?
Yeah, I think
the 18.
The year you get for that is 18.
And then there's like a Yamazaki 21, I think, or something that people talk about.
Yeah, a lot of people really like that 21 year.
Yeah, that one's pretty pricey. So what I would recommend first of all, I'm really actually enjoying this. And right now I'm leaning towards the Yamazaki, the 12 year. I think the age just is coming through. It's a lot nicer on the mid to back palate. And I'll talk a little bit about that in here in just a second. But I'm really enjoying it. I think it's very well balanced. I think Japanese whiskeys in general are very balanced. I would recommend trying before you buy So these bottles again, $150, $100, $200. I mean, you don't want to spend, but what I would say is don't be afraid to buy a good Japanese bottle that you've got to try, or that you read the flavor profiles and you think that you like it. 'Cause I think it's a good thing to have in your collection. I definitely want to pick up a couple higher end Japanese whiskey. Like I'd love to get the Hibiki 18 or the Yamazaki. I'll probably end up picking up one of those eventually. But I think it's good. I mean, I'm actually enjoying these. I think there's a nice change from blowing your taste buds out with 130 proof bourbon. But these are very subtle. They're very nice. There's good flavor. Pretty good mouthfeel, surprisingly.
I definitely like them more than some of the scotches I've tried. So
yeah,
we're drinking this other one. What was this one again? The Nika from the barrel.
Yeah, Nika from the barrel. And
honestly, it doesn't drink much higher than the other ones, and it's significantly higher proof.
Yeah,
but it drink. I mean, a little burn there in the throat, but it kind of drinks the same.
Yeah, it's 102.8 proof, so definitely much higher than these 86 proofers over here. Let me.
Just kind of surprised, and honestly, the flavor is pretty similar. Also, like they're all
smells good.
Yeah, the nose is probably the best of the
by
three.
far. It's not even. Yeah, this wins the nose by a mile. Let me.
Yeah, well, I think out of the three that I brought, I think that one, the Nika from a barrel, is probably my favorite of the three.
I'm getting a smoky.
I definitely got some smoke on the first sip.
I'm not a nose,
but it kind of went away on the next few sips because it kind of caught me off guard. Like, ooh, this is like really like scotchy.
Yeah, that tastes like scotch. That's pretty good though. It's got a good little hug.
Yeah, good. This kind of lingers in your throat.
Yeah, it lingers in your throat. It's got a really good finish for 102. That's pretty impressive. But I'm not getting a lot of complexity in it. It's good. It's got a good mouthfeel. I'll have to sit on these are. I'll say that too. I think the Japanese whiskeys are kind of complex in a way. Like they give you so many little subtleties. Like, oh, okay, this has got a good mouthfeel. It's got an okay finish. It's got a sweet, but the way the flavors change in it. So you kind of scotches do that too as well, right? You get a pear note, earthy tone, smoky, depending on what part of Scotland you're getting, you're drinking the scotch from. But I would say I've been pretty impressed. I think this is a great stepping stone to scotches probably. And I know obviously we'll talk a little bit about the history, which is Japanese whiskey is, influenced by Scotland, right? And we'll talk about that in a second. So, but yeah, these are pretty good. Nika from the barrel is pretty legit. So,
too legit to quit.
So why don't you want to go ahead and we'll go ahead and start out from barrel to brain. I guess we've already kind of been in the barrel to brain part.
Yeah. So I just have a brief history of Japanese whiskey. There's just so much that we wouldn't be able to cover it all. So I just wanted to give just a brief little description. It says the production of Japanese whiskey began in the late 1800s when a Scottish brewer named, and I apologize for if I brutalize this, but it's Masataka Takatsuru, traveled to Scotland to learn the art of whiskey making. Upon his return to Japan, he established the Yamazaki distillery, which is now one of the oldest and most respected whiskey distilleries in Japan. So that's a pretty cool little thing that he went. And it says Scottish brewer, so I'm guessing he was brewing in Scotland and then decided to make whiskey and bring it back to his origin country. It's kind of what it seems like there.
Yeah. So I'll kind of piggyback off of that since we're, kind of highlighting a couple of these that are just Suntory specifically. That dates back specifically to Suntory 1899, which is Shinjiro Tori. He was founding the Tori Shoten store, which was basically a wine distributor. They sourced wines. He's actually the one, and they're from Osaka. So they actually evolved that store into the Yamazaki distillery in 1923. So that was Japan's first malt whiskey distillery. And then it eventually became the Suntory brand that we all know today, which is a super popular brand. So Shinjiro actually hired, what's his face? How do you say that? Sorry.
I don't know. I can't see what you're reading.
Yeah, I was reading the Matsutuka guy that you were just talking about.
Oh. Yeah, let me pull it back up.
Yeah, you're fine.
I don't have it back up.
So
anyway, yeah, just skip over that.
And I'm just kind of like, there's like so much history in Japanese and looking at. So in 1984, Suntory single malt whiskey Yamazaki was introduced. And in 1989, they released the Suntory whiskey Hibiki. And then 1994 was actually when the single malt whiskey Hakushu was introduced. So, and then 2014 is when Suntory acquired Beam Incorporated, becoming Suntory Beam Incorporated. So, yeah, I mean, Japanese whiskey's gotten extremely popular. It's growing. I think it's definitely becoming more popular. I think it's an easy drinker. I definitely recommend, depending on your palate. I think these are some really good bottles to pick up, and I'm glad Chad was able to graciously share these with us. And yeah, you got anything else to add on Suntory? I mean, there's a ton we can talk about.
No, I don't want to go too much into it and spend an hour talking about the history of Japanese whiskey, but I know it is kind of starting to take off. It is pretty popular. I would say people talk a lot about Japanese whiskey. Like I think a lot of your Scotch drinkers and stuff are starting to kind of get into that because it's a little different. It's similar, but a little different. So, kind of just another segue into the Old Glory bourbon.
Yep, for sure. And Old Jim Beam, which we're big fans.
It's kind of crazy that they haven't really been around for super long. I don't know, I'm guessing that Japanese just aren't historically whiskey drinkers.
Yeah, well, 100 years. I mean, it's not too bad.
Yeah, but I mean, when you think of like the bourbon industry has been around since the 1800s.
Yeah, well, I think also too, I mean, we were reading some of the history of Japanese whiskey. It really started picking up after World War II. That's when the Japanese economy was really booming. But, in the 1980s, whiskey was kind of falling off. So a lot of the distilleries that they had, some of their traditional ones closed during that time period. And then it kind of, rose back to popularity getting into the mid-90s. So I think that's probably why you didn't see it as popular. But if you think about it, I mean, Kiri Ishiban owns Makers and Suntory owns Jim Beam. So that's some of our most popular bourbon, the Japanese.
Well, and Sazerac has a lot to do with Japanese and Scotch and, Irish whiskeys and everything. I think those big companies like that kind of dabble in a little bit of everything.
Yeah. They just gobble, grab them all up. So, yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I'm glad I got to try these. I think this has definitely opened my eyes to. I'm excited to try more Japanese whiskey for sure. So I think when we do some flights and different things when we go out, if I have a bottle I haven't tried, I want to explore a little bit more and really see where my niche is at and what I really like. And I think. We want, I was talking to you about, I'm a collector as well on some bourbon, but, I want to start building up my Scotch collection too as well. We'll have an episode where we do a little bit of Scotch, excuse me.
Scotch.
You got anything, Chad, to add about the Japanese whiskey or anything you're leaning towards? Which one do you like so far?
I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I think the Nika from a Barrel is probably my favorite. I do like the little hug that it gives you on the way down.
Yeah.
It's one that I've had multiple bottles of. Same with Hibiki. So I think those two are going to be pretty clear front runners for me. I do like the Yamazuki a lot. I would ultimately love to try an 18-year Hibiki, but tracking one down for a price that isn't,
Yeah. Your grandma, cost your grandma's.
Yeah, down payment on a car, or like
sure.
whatever. But I think, these were like the ones that I kind of gravitated towards just because they're not like a ton up front. They're a lot on the back end.
Yeah.
Hearing you talk about that made me think like, oh yeah, that's why I really like it. Mm-hmm. Because thinking through the Scotch conversation, I don't want the thing that like punches me right in the face. Like I want the thing that like makes me feel pretty good after the fact. Mm-hmm. And I think that anything that I've ever had when it comes to the Japanese side, even like Nika from the Grain, which is their coffee grain version of their whiskey.
Yeah.
Very good. No punch. Like I think that those are all kind of like where my taste buds really like to be at.
And honestly, I thought Japanese whiskey, I thought they were all made with rice. I thought that's kind of where JT Millett got it from was, and I'm sure there are some that make it with rice. So I just thought that was kind of a common thing.
Just thinking of sake.
Yeah, I just for some reason I thought I thought a lot of Japanese whiskeys was inherently with rice, and I don't know why. I thought maybe someone told me that and I got the wrong information, but
No. And yeah, again, I mean, you've had sake before too, right? So
Yeah, it burned the crap out of my tongue. I was at Tokyo's one time, and the guy's like, "Have you ever tried sake?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Here, try it." He didn't tell me it was hot. I didn't know it was like steaming hot.
There's hot.
So I
there's
drink it,
hot
it burnt
and
the crap out of my
cold.
tongue. I was like, "Oh, this is awful."
yeah, and I just want to go on record, and because I learned this, not all sakis are created equal. So probably my favorite sushi place in the world is actually in Bogota. It's called Osaki. Go figure. No pun intended. But we had a dinner with my company, and it was like our CEO, and he had bought some. He's like, "Oh, this is my favorite sake," and I'm like, "Well, it's sake, it's sake." And I drank it, and I'm like, "Holy smokes, this is the best sake I ever had in my life." I don't remember what it was called. I just remember what it tasted like. And I remember I was like, "Holy crap!" I thought sake was basically one note, same taste across the board. So, but yeah, going back to these bottles, I think I would rank them. That Nika is getting better every sip, and that's something that I love about certain bottles. Like if you drink it and it continues to get better, so I'd probably lean towards that. Number one, I like the Yamazaki number two, and then I would say the Hibiki comes in third for me personally. But I'm trying to pick out some of these flavors. It's a little harder to get some of the flavors out, but I don't know. It could be the weather outside. It's super cold today for whatever reason. But yeah, that's kind of mine. What you already said, Nika. What do you think, Garrett? What are you leaning towards right now?
Honestly, I get a lot of similarities between them, but I think the Nika had a little more going on with it, and then it had the hug
whiskey kind of.
Yeah, it's honestly because we don't drink a lot of. It's hard for me to distinguish some of the stuff between them, but they are very similar. They're all very enjoyable in their own way. Mm-hmm. I think at first I would like the Hibiki over the Yamazaki.
Yeah,
is that what it was?
Yamazaki.
And but then they kind of, I think the Yamazaki started to kind of come to the forefront. I think the age really helps a lot.
Yeah,
it makes it kind of linger a little more, and then the Nika. Yeah, I think that proof just helps. I mean, proof always kind of helps.
Yeah, bring out the
flavors and stuff,
and complexities and making it last longer with you. You typically don't get a lot of mid to back palate if you don't have a lot of proof. So yeah, but these are pretty good. Would definitely recommend if you haven't tried any Japanese whiskey, give it a shot. See what you like. I know at the Texas whiskey riot that we did, we got to try that one super complex.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I should have tried to go down and get one because they have one at. Hang on, let me see if I can look at.
It was literally the most complex, unique thing I've ever had. It was the most unique thing I had at the Texas Whiskey Riot. What company was that? That was the one that
St. George.
St. George, yeah. The woman gave the ticket to Daniel. Got that one. So yeah, but this is pretty cool. We'll definitely have to come back to doing some more Japanese whiskey stuff. I want to kind of spend a little bit more time diving into the history.
It was the St. George Baller Single Malt.
Yeah.
Distilled from barley, malt mash, and they're St. George Spirits, but
they're out of California.
Yeah, it had a really cool.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest labels I've ever seen.
This was really, really good.
Yeah.
And
that's a Japanese whiskey, or
I think it's
a single malt.
I think it's a single malt, and I think they made it in the Japanese style.
Yeah,
the way that but this is made in America.
Yeah, I think they're in California.
But this was really, really good. I was really interested in how different it was. It's just like something I'd never really tasted before.
It's one of those, like, I call it a roller coaster because it goes up, goes down, but it changed so many, you got 4 or 5 different notes. So it was something because once you've tried the Blantons and the E.H. Taylors and the George T. Staggs and all that, at some point it's kind of like you're looking for the next best thing or the next something that's going to wow you. And that was something that wowed. Again, it's not a George T. Stagg or anything, or a Stag or any of that kind of stuff, but I was really impressed by it. I think it was pretty good. Sometimes you just want a different pour. You don't want the same, same thing, same mash bill, same whatever. So that's why, I've really started, and I've started to love ryes for a while now, but really and Garrett's getting more into ryes as well. So, ryes kind of bring a little bit more complexity, a little bit different. So But anyways, all right. Well, that'll conclude From Barrel to Brain. I hope you guys enjoyed the Japanese segment. I hope you guys find a Japanese bottle that you like and let us know what's your favorite Japanese whiskey. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have a recommendation for us that you would like us to review or your favorite Japanese whiskey, drop us a like, comment, and let us know. And maybe we'll do a video over it or do another podcast and feature a different distillery. So, all right. Well, let's move on to Nerd Rage. Testing out the clapping.
I like that bit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good bit. You guys got the timing down.
Yeah, I know. We don't even.
good, yeah.
That's not even pre-recorded. We just we
just
do that.
do it.
We
There's
just
no
do
countdown.
Just
There's
do
no
it.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's just
Do it.
I told Ethan though, because I put a card in here now. I think there has to be a way we can use that and set these up
Yeah,
to where
set
we
it.
do like a Nerd Rage and then to do a Last Call with the Bourbon, or
Yeah,
just put them
something
on
like
this
that.
little soundtrack.
So you
I
can
think it'd
just
be a
click
lot
the
easier.
button. We don't have to do it perfectly every time.
Yeah.
And we don't we're not doing like 15 different takes and serious. Ethan does a great job editing our stuff, but
He
anyway.
loves leaving our mistakes in there. So
Yeah, he does. Jerk.
yeah, Ethan, don't cut this.
Cut it out. All right. Let's
Cut
talk.
my life into it.
This is my last resort. Suffocation.
No breathing.
All right, let's get back on track, boys. The Japanese whiskey's setting in a little bit. No, just joking. So let's talk about tattoos. You've got some tattoos. Garrett is tatted up.
Cody's got all the tattoos.
I have.
If you've never seen him, he's all covered.
Do you know how many tattoos I have, people? I have 0.
He has a goose egg.
I've been
Blank
literally
canvas.
like 10 years. I've been thinking about getting a tattoo, and I just hadn't. Changed my mind.
What kind of tattoo are you thinking about? Like, if you were to ever
would
get
you
one,
get?
what do you want?
That's a great question. I was thinking about it. Changes. That's why I haven't got one yet.
He's like, I want to get a tribal tattoo.
Dude, I want to travel.
Dude, The Rock looks so cool.
Dude, travel's sick.
Yeah.
Like the meaning behind it is so cool.
Honestly, the last thing I was thinking about doing it was getting like a pocket aces or something unique like that.
yeah.
Doing something like card related. I know because I love poker. I hadn't been playing a whole lot of poker lately, but something like that, like with like a whiskey bottle or something like weird. But I don't know. I've come up with 1,000 different ideas. No, hasn't been a travel tattoo in there, but
You just got to fire off on one.
I know.
Once you get the first one, you're hooked.
I know that's what everyone says. And
Yeah.
then next thing you know, I'll be tatted up like Garrett over here with Chucky's and.
Bro, I love my Chucky tattoo. It's
I
dope.
like your Chucky tattoo too, and then in the Insane Clown Posse or whatever that is.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, dude. I don't have an Insane Clown Posse tattoo.
I do that
I don't
on
have
purpose.
Fago on my arm or anything.
It pisses him off. I love it because I still haven't watched that movie. So yeah, listen, you guys, this is your time to shine. I don't know about a lot about tattoos except that people are addicted to them, and again, I'm very faithful. I love my fiance, and we're gonna get married in a couple months, but. I used to think tattoos were disgusting, like on a chick, but now I've seen girls, like there was a girl in Colombia, I saw she had a tattoo, and I was like, man, it's kind of sexy. If they don't overdo it, I'm not a big fan of the full, like 2 sleeves and their face tattoos and all that, but I think tattoos can be pretty sexy on certain girls, and they're not very sexy on Garrett, but no.
Does your fiance have tattoos?
No, she doesn't have any tattoos. No. So.
Your daughter's going to be the first one to get a tattoo or
Oh,
something.
no. just to spite me, but like, yeah.
You get live, laugh, love.
Oh, dude, Ileana would kill her, but anyway. Mia,
No,
don't get a tattoo.
She's still really young. It's fine.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully that.
So, Chad, how much do you think you've spent on tattoos?
Well, that's kind of a weird question because I've been fortunate enough to know people that like give the hookup. So, I mean, my last 3 or 4, I think I've probably paid like $300 total.
Yeah, Tommy really doesn't. I always expect him to say more, and then I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
Like,
and
Tommy's been really cool. He's been my tattoo artist for like my last 4 or 5 tattoos. So,
And this was something I was talking to Holden about earlier, was just like, the relationship that you build with the person that is in control of like the artwork that they're putting on your body, like helps a ton, because if you let them have artistic freedom, they're going to give you a fair price because they get to break that tool out. They get to be artistic and creative and say, oh, you're giving me full freedom to do what I think I would want someone to have on their body. And it's like, yeah, I want you to do that because you're the artist. I'm the person coming to you for the artwork. So like, it's like doing a commission, like getting a commission from someone for just a piece of art. You know, like if you just tell them, hey, I want this, and this, do whatever you want with that. Like, make it however you want to, because that's ultimately like, I just want those 4 pieces involved and I want it to look cool. And I know that you as an artist can make it look cool, where me as not an artist cannot make it cool, you know.
You have an idea, but they can make it come to life.
Exactly. And like your style is something that I enjoy watching come to life. So
yeah, it's not just going and be like, I want an only God can judge me tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, all right, dude, $500.
Yeah, dude. Like, and any tattoo artist, if you go to them and be like, dude, I want a Tinkerbell and like a Tweety Bird, they're going to be like, okay, that's $1,000. But then I walk in and be like, dude, I want this sick panther with like its eyes covered with, you know, this and like thorns around its head. They're going to be like, that's $100, dude, because that's sick, you know, like.
Sex Panther.
My friend Hunter has a cat with like a blade, and he's holding a bucket of chicken, and it looks like it's like a Mad Max style cat. And I'm just like, how do you come up with that idea? Like, that's wild, but it's really cool.
You cut off my joke. I was going to say it's Sex Panther. It works 60% of the time, all the time. I love that thing, dude.
But I think that's like ultimately what drew me to, you know, tattoos in general, was like, I'm just a big art head. So like I have like designer toys like Cause and stuff like that like I think are cool, and stuff that, you know, I've just always been a left-brained person, which is artistically driven. So like I'm not the artist, but I, you know, love like seeing people put out work. Like anytime I go to a town, I'm like, that I've never been before, if I have the opportunity, I'm walking downtown and finding graffiti and like taking pictures of it, because I think it's sick.
Oh man. So I just got back from Colombia. They have some of the best graffiti in the world. Like the whole city is graffitied up. I'll have to show you some pictures. It's pretty legit. And you go back, because I do love art. Like I don't go and buy $1 million paintings or anything like that. I couldn't afford that anyways. But I do go when I travel. If a museum, I'll go to a museum. And Buntelo is the most famous Colombian. He does a version of the Mona Lisa and stuff. But I think you answered my question before I was going to ask it, because I never really understood. You know, to me, you put it in perspective. It makes a lot of sense. Like it's an artistic expression of you, right, in your body. So that's kind of what my question was, like, what are you trying to express? And I think you kind of, is that kind of what you feel, Garrett? I was curious.
Yeah. Well, I was going back to his graffiti thing, because I actually worked with a guy who does graffiti stuff.
Dude, that's so sick.
So he lives up in Oklahoma City. He probably has a lot of these. Like if you're ever up in the city, if you see, it's probably him that did it. But yeah, he does some really cool stuff. No, so I always looked at it like Chad, where it's like you're buying art, you know, from that artist. And I had actually never gotten an artist to do multiple tattoos until Tommy. And I think it's just because Tommy's such a huge horror fan, and he loves a lot of the ideas that I have. And so,
yeah, and that's another part of it. If you can like relate with that person on the same level as like what you enjoy, like that makes it 10 times better, because you let them express themselves through the outlet that you both enjoy.
Yeah, he's like the biggest Killer Clowns from Outer Space fan.
That's sick.
And so I was like, man, I really want to do a Killer Clowns from Outer Space tattoo. And he's like, yes, let's do it. So he was really excited about it. He also had an original Ghostface tattoo, and my wife is the biggest Ghostface fan. And so he was really excited that she got that tattoo, because he was like, man, I've been really wanting to do this one for a long time.
Hell yeah.
So,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he did my Bates Motel one, which was kind of just a basic one I did for the first one. I actually didn't really know what I wanted to do when I set that up. And then I was like, I don't know, let's just do Bates Motel or something, you know? Yeah. And then what was the next one? I believe I did the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But then we did this Chucky one, and like he showed it to me, and I was like, dude, that's the sickest tattoo ever.
Dude, it's like a level up.
Yeah, I was like, I just look at it all the time, like, dude, I can't believe this is a tattoo on my arm. It's ridiculous how good it is. Which all of them are great. Then he did this Jack Skellington as Han Solo.
That's sick.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, I like the idea of like blending things too.
Yeah,
yeah, that's how I like, because I got this Ninja Turtle as horror icons. Yeah, you know, I like doing mishmash tattoos like that.
Yeah, like some of my more recent pieces have been like, I'm a big American traditional fan, like bold colors, bold lines, all that stuff, and like I like taking those ideas and like kind of mishmashing them. So Jace, the guy that I go to quite a bit in town at Electric Age, he's a big Disney head. So like going to him and being like, hey dude, I want like the traditional crawling panther, but I want it to be Mickey Mouse. And so like put the Mickey Mouse pants on it, put the gloves on it, give it the Mickey Mouse head, you know, and then the other side of my leg in the same position is like a traditional eagle, but instead it's Donald Duck. You know, I think those ideas are cool, and I think that's kind of like the level up from where American traditional is going to go. You see, like I just got a book in the other day from a pretty big name in the tattoo world, Chad Bentley, who's an American traditional artist, and it's the dude set a goal for himself to paint one piece of flash, and what flash is just it's a 11 by 8 piece of paper that they put 3 to 5 ideas on, and they paint that, and they put it up on the wall. And the way tattoos used to work was you'd walk into the tattoo shop and be like, I want that one. How much is that one? And you could have the same tattoo as 40 other people and you would never know it. Mm-hmm. But this guy set a goal for himself to do one piece of flash every day of the year. And pieces of flash, it's a lot of work. Like you got to draw it, and then you have to paint it, you have to stain it, you have to do all this stuff. And he did 380 something pages. Dang.
Well, and like this Jason I have. So this guy, he has it available, and then once you get this one, he just basically cuts it. He's like, I'm not doing this one anymore. So that's what's cool about some of these tattoos is like you're not going to see those on everybody. My next tattoo I want to get is I want to do some kind of mashup of Dr. Doom and Darth Vader.
Oh, that'd be sick.
And I have some ideas in mind, but I'm gonna hopefully. I trust Tommy. Tommy's going to come up with something really cool.
Tommy's good.
I also really want to get some kind of evil Bigfoot. I'm a big Bigfoot guy, so obviously I have a Bigfoot shirt on. I wear a lot of Bigfoot shirts.
70% of his shirts are comprised of Bigfoot.
Yeah. I have a lot of Bigfoot shirts.
Bigfoot bourbon over here.
Yeah, my handle is Bigfoot Bourbon Nerd.
Yeah, it's funny.
But yeah, like, I mean, I got that book in and I looked through it, and like some of the ideas that you see come out of this person's, like you can tell when like the brain was like on overload and was just trying to figure out what the heck am I supposed to do next. And it's like Picasso level stuff, but in American traditional. So it's like big bolded lines of like a panther head that's like super distorted, or like a tiger head that's super distorted, and it's all crazy looking. And then you get to like the pages where you could tell his brain kind of slowed, like came down a little bit, or he wasn't as busy that day, and it's like a normal regular American traditional tattoo that like is still cool as hell. And so like seeing that trend go through, and like someone being that dedicated to their art like speaks so much to me, because it's like this guy is in it for the art, he's not in it for the paycheck. And I think that's like what matters to me the most when like thinking about art in general. It's just like people would just want to do cool stuff because they think it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, just do it because you think it's sick. Don't do it because you are after a paycheck. And I think that's like, that sells more than anything, of just like, this person stepped outside of a boundary and decided to do this thing, and it probably speaks to 2% of the world, but that 2% is going to love it. And like, that's also the cool thing about just art in general, is like, you could put something out there and 85% of the country or the world hates it, but that 15%, dude, they're going to love it and they're going to support you. And and like, I think the internet is a big tool for like putting that at the forefront of just like, you can find your niche and find your people that love you and love the art that you're doing. Same way with like a community inside of like a bourbon, type thing. Like, there's just going to be that part of the human that's just like, I like what this is doing. I like what's going on. So like, it's just one of those things that.
Yeah. Question for you both, and please don't make fun of me for asking this, but so I have thought like the most recent, if I was going to get a tattoo, I wanted to get like my favorite quote in like Korean or Japanese or something like that. Is that too cliche, or it's something like I live my life by, right? And I don't know exactly.
No, man, if you think it's sick, get it.
Yeah.
I have a Japanese tattoo that I've started to slowly cover. So
okay.
I feel like it is done a lot, but I mean, if it's something, so here's the thing, get something that you really, really want. Like, because when I got my first tattoos, I wasn't really like, I got a Superman tattoo that you don't really see anymore either, because I'm slowly trying to cover these other tattoos up. So just get something that you really, really want and you're really committed to, and just like, 5-10 years down the line, am I still going to really like this tattoo? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if that's what you love and that's what you really think, because like, I mean, the difference now is you're a lot more mature. Like, so I got my first tattoos when I was 18. So of course I'm not thinking logically there. So you're thinking a lot more logically now, So it makes a lot more sense to you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. No, guys.
it's a lot different than when you were going to be 18.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Like getting ones younger, you have a different mindset, and like your brain's at a different place, so you don't know necessarily like what you're going to enjoy down the road.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean,
And I would 100% research that's what that means, because you don't want
yeah.
you don't want to get one that's actually means like tiny penis or something.
Yeah. You also don't
where's
want
your head out over
you
there,
don't want to
buddy?
also
No,
piss off
that
your
was like a legitimate tattoo that somebody got, and they're like, and like a Japanese guy's laughing. He's like, dude, that means you have a little wiener. Like, oh my god! So now that's on your body, dude.
Yeah, that's
Another one I thought was really cool. Someone got like a QR code that actually scans. I think that would be a really fun tattoo.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They like, I don't know, scan it to like I think it's scanned to like some kind of like chicken recipe, or I don't know, something silly.
I saw one the other day. It was, I guess in Spotify, there's now a QR thing that you can like scan.
Oh yeah.
It shows the sound wave.
Yeah.
And it takes you straight to the song. So like as soon as it played, it went straight to like a Black Sabbath song, and I was like,
Oh,
That's cool. Yeah.
that's pretty sick.
Like, you can do that like for your favorite song.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
it was sick.
Or to our podcast. There you go.
Ooh, dude, we could get a Bourbon Nerds
Yeah.
QR code
There you
tattoo.
go. There you go.
Hey, just
scan it,
me,
bro.
We're in it to win it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you are going to enjoy it, I think it's something you should do. Like a lot of my stuff doesn't necessarily have meaning to me, but I just think like, again, the artwork is sick. And I know that the way that the conversation happened between me and the person was like, yeah,
I don't remember what this means. I think it means
turtles?
I think it means honor, but
Okay.
but it's like I sat down with that person and, you know, we made an idea together, and like this is what we came up with, you know. Like
Yeah.
the most recent one that I got was like I went with an idea, he drew something, we talked about it a little bit, and then I was like, but what if we did this? And he was like, yeah, let's rip it. And it's
Let's do
like,
it.
you know, and like it added so much more to the art, and he was more than down to do it. And it's just one of those things of just like, come with a cool idea, they're gonna love it.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's something that you enjoy and you're passionate about it, they're going to love to do that for you, because they know that you're going to appreciate what they've done for you.
and keep an open mind. Like, so don't just go in and say, oh, I want to get my first tattoo. I want to get something, you know, like a saying. Be like, you know, I want to do this that, you know, might be kind of a common thing, but I want to make it different, you know, try to
Yeah.
and
creative.
let them kind of have free reign, and, you know, trust the process. The artist is 90% of the time going to come up with something that's just going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
Like there are some out there that are pretty, you know, new or maybe not care enough, but just got to find the right ones. There's some good ones around this area. So.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed this. Has actually been a good conversation. I thought I was just going to set this one out, but I appreciate you guys providing your perspective. And again, if you have a tattoo and you're listening, and you know, share what you have, and and if you're thinking about getting a tattoo, I'd love to know what you guys are thinking of. And yeah, I think it's an interesting topic. Tattoos are growing in popularity, especially if you look at 20, 30 years ago. It was like very frowned upon. It's now,
That's another thing too, is like now, like the business world is way more accepting of it. Like
Yeah.
I'm not the person that would go out and get a face tattoo. Like, and I wouldn't do anything that I couldn't cover up easily. Mm-hmm. But like, you can get a job with visible tattoos now. And like, you look back 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, they wouldn't
wasn't a
hire
thing.
you.
Yeah, they would have been like, I don't care if you have 6 degrees, you have a freaking tattoo on your
Yeah.
arm.
Well, even at Choctaw, they used
You're
to
the
make you
devil.
cover it up with makeup if
Yeah.
it showed. Now they don't care as much.
yeah.
And actually, it's really funny. It's really funny whenever people see me outside of work and they're like, I didn't realize you had tattoos, because I'm always wearing a suit.
Yeah.
And so it covers it up really well. I'm like, yeah, I got a lot of tattoos, and it always surprises people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like most of mine are on my legs because I don't like, they're for me, you know.
Yeah.
Like if other people get to see them, it's cool. I've gotten tons and tons and tons of comments on the stuff that I have, but it's like, I don't want them to be, you know, my old gig, I could wear shorts. People got to see them all the time, but like where I'm at now, there's no opportunity to wear shorts, which is perfectly fine with me. Like I want them to be seen when I want them to be seen. I don't want them, you know, like they're cool. I think
Yeah.
they're sick, and I think people would enjoy them when they do see them. But like, I like the ability to be able to cover them up as well too. So, but
All right. Well, I think that'll conclude Nerd Rage.
Yeah.
I almost said neat and balanced.
That'll conclude neat and balanced.
Now let's move over to Whiskey Sideline. There's actually a lot of sports stuff happening right now. I feel like sometimes when we don't get to record, we kind of record multiple episodes, we miss out on so much. But
and the problem with this one's going to come out here in a few weeks after we're already past that.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. We do stay up to date, but unfortunately, sometimes our episodes are a little bit after the fact.
Yeah.
We still want to talk about the hot topics and get them out there, but at the time that we're recording this is all pretty new. So.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So, and then I think we have done a better job. We're not providing live sports update like
oh my God, they're shooting free throws right now.
Yeah, yeah, because I don't think that ages as well. So
before we get too deep. Did anybody enjoy the the NCAA women's? Because I feel like every game was a blowout. I don't feel like there were any good games this year. I know you guys probably didn't look at the women's, but the Final Four, like both teams won by like 20 or 30 points, and then UConn wins the finals by like 30 points. You're like, well, those aren't really fun games.
Yeah, those are just blowouts.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot more in women's. It's like all the top teams are always going to be the team. Like there's not ever really a Cinderella in women's sports, and I don't really know if it's just because all the best players go to the big programs, or
to be fair, though, South Carolina lost their best player, I think 2 or 3 games ago.
USC.
Was that USC?
Yeah, USC. Juju Watkins.
No, I'm talking about the women's.
No, yeah, Juju Watkins. She's from USC. Yeah, she's.
Okay.
Her Paige Buchers are debatably the best players.
Got it.
College
I don't know why
basketball.
I thought she played for South Carolina, but anyways.
It's SC.
UConn. I mean, think about how dominant UConn women have been. I mean, think about Diana Taurasi. I mean, she's like one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time, even in the WNBA. But they've been what was this, like their 12th title or something?
It was something like this. I mean, South Carolina's been really good the last few years, but they lost a lot from last year's squad that I think lost one game. They were undefeated the year before.
Yeah, it's their 12th national title. That's insane.
The men's are up there too. The men's, UConn, it's just a good basketball school in general.
100%.
Was that 12 in like 12 years, or is that 12 just in general?
No, it's 12 in general, but I mean, they won.
I mean, a lot of them have been within like the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, a couple decades. I mean, they won a ton.
They went like 3 or 4, 5 years in a row there in like the 2010s.
Yeah.
They were just dominant.
That was, really good then, for sure. Yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. It was a blowout game, unfortunately, but how about me calling Duke choking?
Man, and
they had a 97% chance to win the game with 1:29 left. That's nuts.
I feel like there was some Vegas hands in that one, man. That's crazy.
It almost feels that way.
It was just a huge meltdown. Like, and even with like 19 seconds or whatever left, they're up by like 3, and they're shooting free throws, and then all of a sudden Cooper Flag gets an over the back, and then now. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I just couldn't believe, because I had Duke in my main bracket winning it. So I have another bracket with Florida winning. So I mean, if Florida wins, I have.
Hey, how about me? I'm going to pat myself on the back, getting all the Final Four correct.
He picked all the number 1 seeds, and only the second time ever, all the number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four.
If you know, you know.
Had that feeling, man.
Honestly, and I don't normally do that, but I felt those teams are far better than the rest of the pack.
Houston has been really good the last few years, but they keep losing in like the second or third round. So I wasn't super confident in Houston, but obviously they proved me wrong, and they're in the finals now.
I've actually watched I've only watched a few games this year. Like college, we've just been so busy. There's too much going on, work and podcasts and everything else. But I watched some of the games. They look built different. Like we're in some close games. They were able to pull them out. That's kind of different than what they've done. I know they've had some upsets and losses where they should have gone farther. So I'm surprised they beat Duke, to be honest. I had Auburn winning my bracket, which I definitely regret. I think after I did my bracket, I told you I should have picked Florida.
Florida, in the second bracket I did, I picked Florida winning because I feel like Florida has the most complete team.
Yeah,
and they looked really good yesterday. Auburn had a halftime lead, but second half Florida just dominated. They looked like a legit contender. So
yeah, when they're playing like they did, when they're hitting on all cylinders, they're probably impossible to beat.
Houston's not going to be able to get down on Florida like they were on Duke.
No, I think Florida's going to win the national title. So I could be wrong. I mean, I'd love to see Houston finally break that barrier and close it out.
And I think this will be the first time Florida wins since like the Joakim Noah back-to-back.
Yeah.
Like in the early 2000s.
Shoot. Yeah, they haven't.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Do you remember that team? Joakim Noah and I think Al Horford was on that team. That was a solid team.
Dude,
they won back-to-back years.
That was a damn good team. So let's talk about a little bit of hockey news. Greatest record and almost one of the greatest records in sports history.
Yeah, and he did it in the same amount of games as Wayne Gretzky played.
Yeah, he did it same amount of games, and he did it. There was another fact that came up that was April 6th was the day that Washington made the trade moves happen to make sure that they could get Ovechkin in the draft, and then 21 years later, he breaks the Gretzky record.
On April 6th.
On April 6th.
Yeah.
On Chad's birthday.
On Chad's
birthday. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, and you can talk about the GOAT debate for hockey. I think I sounded kind of hateful on Ovechkin on the last episode, which I don't know why, or it would have been a few episodes now, but I don't know why, because I actually really respect Ovechkin. I think he's a great player. He actually refused to shoot on an open net the other night to win it. He just wants to earn it, you know. Yeah. He also had a really respectful move with Fleury, like last week, where he made all his teammates come back out and congratulate Fleury, because I think Fleury's done. And I assume Ovechkin's probably done after this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, he hit what he wanted to hit.
Yeah.
And even
he had that injury too. He had that really bad injury.
Yeah, and there was also an interview that popped up from like 4 or 5 years ago or 6 years ago now that a person was asking him. They were like, "Hey, you're within shot of Gretzky's record. What do you think you can do?" And he was like, "Man, that's like 50 plus goals a game or like a season." He's like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to skate in 6 seasons, let alone like break this record.
He's got 42 this year, which puts him 23rd in the league that I looked. But I mean, that's still a really good season.
Yeah,
like,
and the other great thing is he did it from his office. Like he did the patented Alex Ovechkin like slap shot.
Yeah. No, it was very.
And it was
one of the
just
greatest slap shots ever.
Like very Ovechkin, very like this is a cool like. I mean, we were just sitting in the other room talking about it, and I checked my Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it, but like and seeing it happen in that moment, I was like, dude, this is like something you'll never see in this lifetime.
Yeah, and I was talking about earlier about him. I see the TikToks or whatever, him and his son practicing slap shots in the backyard, and his son looks pretty good, and his son looks like he's only like 6 or 7 years old. So
wow.
And maybe we got a future Hall of Famer there.
Ovechkin Jr.
Yeah, Ovechkin, baby Avi.
Baby Avi.
And I think another thing that we were talking about earlier too, before we started recording, was like I appreciate the fact that he never left where he started.
For sure.
And like I think that, and you mentioned, that's just a big thing in hockey in general. But it's like
bigger in hockey than other sports for sure.
Yeah, and it's like you look at like someone like LeBron who's like moved around a bunch and like has built like teams around him and gone to win championships and stuff like that. And then you look at this guy who like it didn't matter who was around him; he was just doing his job and making sure it worked. And doing it well. But
that's the mentality. That's the difference in mentality between sports. Like hockey players love their teams. They love their sport.
Oh, yeah.
They're very
they love their town.
They're very team oriented. They're very and do whatever. In the NBA and stuff, it's all about money and it's all about trying to buy a championship. It's so crazy. I wish some of the hockey, mentality and culture would gravitate towards the NBA. Even the NFL is kind of getting that way where, it's free agency. What's going to happen?
College
in the NHL, there was 2 pretty big trades at the trade deadline, and it was like the first time that 2 solid players have been kind of traded at the deadline in a long time because it just doesn't happen that often in hockey. Yeah. It's kind of new this year.
College football is kind of becoming the same thing, like with the transfer portal and stuff.
Well, it's because of the NIL money, which I'm all about players getting money, but it's just that's all the kids are thinking about anymore.
Mm-hmm. They want their sponsorships. They are now allowed to use like their name and stuff. So like, make sure you're getting your bag before you get to the place where you're going to get your real bag at.
I don't remember the school. I talked about this earlier in one of our earlier podcasts where there was a player and they were undefeated, and the quarterback's like, "Hey, I was promised this money, so I'm just not going to play now." I'm like, bro. What kind of mentality is that?
Yeah.
That's weak. It's so weak and it's so frustrating. Yeah. That's why I love hockey. That's why hockey's my favorite sport is because and then they don't sit out either. Like they're playing through injuries. I can't remember the analyst who got on, but it was just dogging the NBA, and I was like, dude, this guy gets it, and I wish everyone else would get it. Like that hockey mentality. NBA players don't play hurt, but like hockey players do all the time. Like there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. And and Kobe Bryant was great. That's why I always respect Kobe way more than LeBron. 100%. Kobe, it doesn't matter. How hurt he is. He's going to get out there and he's going to play because people pay to pay these tickets to come watch you play.
Right.
Like now in the NBA, you get all these people sitting out, and it's just like they don't care. It's like they don't care about the people paying, and that's why the NBA is doing so poorly. And I just don't think they realize it, or they just don't care. And hopefully some of these older guys will retire, and some of the younger people, because you can tell, like,
dude, Doncic did not want to leave.
Yeah, well, and Doncic's a good one.
Wembanyama.
Yeah, you can tell, like, All-Star game, he was pissed.
Yeah,
he's like, dude, I want to win this game. You guys are out here BSing around. Let this guy shoot the game. Like, you can tell that the younger generation are kind of getting tired of it.
Yeah,
and hopefully they kind of come up and there's a little bit of a change, because right now the NBA is just kind of a joke to me. Mm-hmm. Like the in-season tournaments. Yeah, I could go on. I don't want to go too much. I can get really passionate because I used to love the NBA. Like the Spurs, Tim Duncan era. Like that was togetherness. You watch the Thunder. The Thunder are kind of looking like that. Yeah. And I really love that the Thunder are my team, and that they're one of the few teams who actually look like a team unit. And I hope they win the championship this year and just dominate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm rooting for him. I'm still heartbroken.
You can't root for any Mavericks anymore.
I don't
Fire Nico,
dude.
Yeah,
and the owner was like, "Yeah, you guys can judge us on this trade, but just judge us when we're winning championships." I'll go, "Okay,
yeah, they're
good
not
luck."
Win any championships. Sorry, Mavs fans, break your heart.
Yeah,
and we traded somebody that loved our team, wanted to be there.
Yeah, just imagine
the worst possible
bag of Cheetos
ever.
Yeah, dude, just imagine if your team had, like a stalwart player from the Euros that like loved the sport, put every moment of his life into it. Maybe he was a little bit overweight, but like, he was there every day. He was putting in the work.
He was carrying the team.
He was overweight
a little bit of Overwatch on his off time, and, top 500 that, and then like. Just imagine if you still had that, and you don't.
I mean, he was 270 to begin the season, but by the time they traded him, he was definitely not 270. No. He got off that plane, I was like, "No, bro, that guy's not 270."
Yeah, dude, it's maddening because you'll never know the real reason why. Like,
they might come down later, and Nico, after he's fired, is like, "Look, this is what happened, guys."
Yeah, I can't wait I hope they make a movie about it when the truth comes out.
Yeah,
God.
That'll happen when the Mavericks move to Las Vegas.
Nah, that's not going to be. All right, you guys have anything else for this sideline? Oh, wait, yeah, I didn't want to talk about the Rangers. Rangers are number one in the American League right now. They have 8-2, so it's a really good start for them. They had a really rough season, a lot of injuries last year. Obviously, the year before, they had a historic run, one of the greatest runs in the World Series. They won the World Series, obviously, but
because of Creed.
Because of Creed,
all,
yeah. Respect Creed.
I think this year we're gonna root for him because of the Tatas hat.
Oh, the Tatas hat.
Yeah, the Tatas.
That's funny.
That's going to be the driving factors.
I think they spent quite a bit of money, so I mean, hopefully that money goes to good use and they start winning.
They got some decent pitching. They've got picked up some good players. So yeah, I'm excited. Again, it's very early. It's a long baseball season, but it's just exciting that they're starting so strong. They did get drilled by the Reds, a few games back, but that happens in baseball. You win some, you lose some.
October's a long ways away.
Yeah, it is for sure. But no, I'm looking forward. I hope they're competitive this year. Last year was a pretty big miss after a historic run in the World Series. But that's pretty exciting if you're a baseball fan. I will say with the rule changes that were made a few years back, I think the games are a lot more exciting to watch. I'm looking forward to taking my family to a Rangers game here in the next coming weeks or so.
I also read that there might be a possible change to the overtime rules in the NFL. We can talk about that more later because I don't have confirmation, but I'm excited that those talks are happening at least.
Yeah, they should. So that's
because we had a whole thing about the overtime rules before, and I think it's ridiculous.
Well, if they do change, we can talk about that on another episode. That'd be good.
I'm looking forward to the NFL season. It's my first year doing
Fantasy football league?
No, I've done fantasy football. I won
okay.
my league. I won one of
Yeah.
my leagues last year, but this is the first time that we're doing a dynasty league.
Oh, nice.
So
Dynasty's interesting. It does kind of suck if your team ends up not being very good because then you got to really kind of trade
Yeah,
for
you have
picks
to-
and stuff.
and then
but-
people give up, and it gets kind of
Yeah.
crazy, and then people drop out, and then
Dude, I had 2 dynasty leagues where I won like back-to-back years, and then both of those leagues just imploded.
Oh.
And there was another one a couple years before that where I had a winning team, and then the guy's like, "Hey, I want to change this to a keeper league," and I'm like, "No, bro,
Dude, that's a bummer.
yeah." I was like, "I just worked all." It's really stupid. Like, and of course, the dynasty league that I started this year aren't very good, and I'm just like, of course.
Yeah, I want to do a Bourbon Nerds fantasy league this year. We'll do some fun stuff. So stay tuned to that though as we get closer to football season. So, all right, well that'll conclude Whiskey Sideline. A lot of awesome updates and topics. This is the one I'm really excited to talk about. We're going to move over to Pop Culture Poor, and somebody died recently. Unfortunately, Val Kilmer. That was pretty sad to see that.
Yeah, he was battling throat cancer for a long time. Like
Yeah.
you can tell in the kind of the later movies. Like one was The Snowman, which that had a lot of issues on its own. I know the novel's really good, but they didn't shoot like 40% of the movie and then tried to throw it together. It had a great cast. It had Michael Fassbender, had J.K. Simmons, had Val Kilmer. Well, in his scene, you can tell it's not him talking. They had someone talk over him essentially. And so he had that, and then he made a cameo in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie.
Yeah.
And he played Silent Bob, but I mean, you can just tell he was struggling, but he was still, loving life and stuff. He was
his
still
scene
doing
in the Top Gun sequel was like very moving.
Yeah,
That was
it
a good
But he ended
way
up-
to like give him an out in that movie.
That was such a good movie.
But he ended up dying of pneumonia, is what got him.
Yeah, but that's kind of a lot of people.
I'm sure it's part of
Yeah,
not having you're not really having a
immune system.
because of the chemo and stuff is what I'm assuming probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely tougher to fight that stuff.
Yep, agreed. I mean,
But I think we wanted to talk about some of our favorite Val Kilmer movies and stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
Moments.
I mean, he has a lot of good. I mean, I need to look over a few of these. I mean, you said you watch Heat. Heat's a great movie.
Dude, the action is the juice.
I mean, Tombstone is probably his most iconic.
I actually watched. What did I watch the other day? I watched Tombstone. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I love that movie.
It's a good one,
It's
too.
a great movie. Top Gun.
That's like right before Robert Downey took Iron Man too.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like the last movie he got before he was just like super dedicated to Marvel. So
Yeah, he did that.
that underwater fight scene in that movie.
Yeah.
Bad
insane.
Lieutenant. Nicolas Cage, your
Yeah.
man crush.
He didn't have a huge part in that movie.
No, he didn't.
I actually really like MacGruber. Like it's
Yeah.
one of those so dumb it's funny movies,
I
and he
think
plays
all those
the
SNL
villain.
Those SNL like skit that turned into movies are like some of the funnier comedies that you run into now. Like what's the Andy Samberg one? Where
Hot
he's-
Rod?
Yeah.
That one's no, actually, I really like. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's called Rockstar. Never
Rockstar's
Stop,
also
Never
a good
Stopping.
one. Yeah.
That movie cracks me up, dude. It's so funny.
Yeah. I like a lot of those movies. I mean, you got Wayne's World from that too, which was, an iconic piece.
You also got some really
Yeah.
bad ones from Saturday Night Live, but
Yeah.
I mean, they can all be winners. Like I love A Night at the Roxbury. That one's pretty funny. Wasn't really a huge fan of Superstar. I'm trying to think of some.
Yeah, that
other
one's like
SNL
one
ones
that
they did.
I don't really remember a lot from, but Night's pretty funny and not Superstar, Rockstar and all that stuff. Those are great ones.
No, it's Popstar, not
Popstar,
Rockstar. Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Can't stop, don't wanna.
The songs on there are hilarious.
I'm just looking through like some of his other movies. Like he did The Doors.
Oh
Dude,
yeah,
that one.
he should have won an Oscar for that.
Yeah.
I don't. He never won an Oscar, which is
People
kind of sucks.
confused him for the singer for the Doors for like on the set and stuff.
Jim
like,
Morrison.
Jim Morrison, yeah, they like he nailed it.
Break
Let's not forget,
to the other side.
Actually, the last video they have of him is him and his son, and he's putting on the Batman mask. He's like, I haven't worn this in a long time. He puts it on.
yeah.
So you can tell he's still making the best of everything.
Unfortunately, the worst Batman movie, but
No way, dude.
you don't think that's the worst Batman movie?
Bro, the George Clooney one's way better.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm
The
getting
nipples,
that mixed up.
dude?
Yeah, sorry. George Clooney. Was
Joel
the worst.
Schumacher. Well, Joe Schumacher did the Val Kilmer one, but then he went way overboard with
Okay.
the Clooney
Yeah,
one.
the George Clooney. Okay, you're right. The George Clooney.
Everybody chill.
Yeah.
I was
Dude,
thinking that was the
had
Val
so
Kilmer
many
one.
one-liners.
Yeah, that George Clooney's the worst.
Although they
Never mind.
did kind of keep the original Mr. Freeze story, which I think was the right way to do it. They just obviously they wanted to sell toys and they wanted to make it
That movie
bright
was a
and
toy
colorful.
movie for
And they're
sure.
like, oh, you know who's a big star? Let's get Chris O'Donnell. He's a good guy, right?
You made me think of I don't know. Have you ever watched the Pablo Francisco stand up? He does the Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's like, they're trying to take my tortillas. That was the worst Arnold impression ever. I used to do that a little bit better, so I'll have to practice. I need to drink more whiskey. But no, I mean, yeah, sorry. I was thinking Val Kilmer was the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was George
that's
Clooney.
Clooney.
God, that's so bad. It's been so long since I watched it. That's Poison Ivy one too, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
with the infamous scene where it's Bane driving the car and like all he has is just a hat and you can still see like the toxin tubes coming out of it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. That movie, it's a fine movie. It's not clearly like one of the better Batman movies, but like like it feels like a comic book movie, you know. And I think that like it has its own like love in that instance, but it's still just it's a bad movie, but like bad
for sure.
Bad being good.
Well, in the Val Kilmer one, if it wasn't for, I think he kind of played it. He kind of played a little too serious, but honestly, if Tommy Lee Jones wouldn't have been over the top, I think it would have been a really good movie. Because I thought Jim Carrey as Riddler was
nailed
great.
it.
Yeah, Jim Carrey was great, but Tommy Lee Jones was just like goofy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why they just make him look goofy, and then I mean I get it. You want him to be colorful, and Joel Schumacher is a very colorful guy.
Yeah.
He likes all those colors, but just kind of went a little too overboard. And Tommy Lee Jones is just kind of ruined scenes to me. And I'm just like, man, if they'd have just done Jim Carrey Riddler, I think this would have been great.
All right, so $1 million question. What's your favorite Val Kilmer movie?
Oh, Heat by
Okay,
miles.
That's a great one. What about you?
I would say Tombstone, but I actually think Kiss Kiss Bang Bang I like a little more.
That's a good one. I'm going to stick with Tombstone. Heat would be my second. That movie's so good. That's one of the best movies.
I learned a lot about this movie last night because we watched it, me and a bunch of friends, like as my birthday thing. Instead of like going out and drinking, we all got in a Discord and watched Heat together. And I learned a lot about that movie from friends that like are way more into movies than I am. And like that movie was supposed to be a TV show. It was supposed to be like a 7 or 8 episode TV show. And like he couldn't figure it out, so he just made it into a 2 hour and 45 minute movie. And then the director's cut is almost like 3.5 hours. And then he had so much more left in the tank that he wrote a book to finish the story. And now he's making a movie for the book to be the prequel to Heat. So it's like going to follow
that's awesome.
Pacino and De Niro's characters as before they hit, the crime wave or whatever. And then I also learned that the second big scene where they're in the bank and they're robbing, Kilmer's the way that he is ambidextrous with the gun and like moves around, and they use that to train people in the armed forces on how to use a gun and how to like move through fast and do all that stuff, because he's like nailing it perfectly. Like he is that's how we train
He's John Wick before John Wick.
Yeah, he's how we're training our armed forces to be, like how he loads the clip, does all that stuff. That's like a cool fact. And then what was the other thing? There's another part in that movie that I was told about that like kind of stuck out to me. That was like, oh, this is like crazy. This makes it.
Yeah, you're making me want to go home and watch that movie. I love that movie. That's so good,
man.
It is just very long, so if you start it kind of late, you might not get through it.
Yeah.
It's one of those you got to kind of get down early for sure.
Yeah, and like it was peak Pacino in his Coke era.
Yeah.
So like the spouts where he's just randomly screaming is because he's coming off of Coke and like needs to have a break in the movie to go do more Coke. Like when they're just sitting there talking, he's like, "Tell me what you got." Like,
Yeah.
And she's got a great ass.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's why the movie Insomnia is kind of cracking me up because he's an insomniac. But I'm like, yeah, that's probably really
Just a coke
Pacino. Yeah, because he's like going around the room like, dude, he's coked out right now.
I mean,
which is a pretty good Christopher Nolan movie that people forget about.
Yep. Yeah. And Robert De Niro is like one of the greatest actors ever. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not even. But
the other part of that movie, that same scene where they're doing the shootout in the street after the bank robbery, like after that movie came out, like a month or like a year later, some time frame later, was when like LA got a big shootout that caused the cops to not now like every cop has like militarized weapons, because that scene inspired a group of robbers to go basically imitate it. And it caused the cops to move from just carrying pistols and like tasers and stuff to being like a militarized weapon. And so it's like crazy to think that like that
movie,
that scene did a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like one of the coolest movie scenes. Like I put that like The Dark Knight, not the Dark. Is it the one with the Joker? The opening scene in the Joker.
Yeah, The Dark Knight.
The Dark
Knight. Mm-hmm. That scene is also like up there for me. It was just like one shot, like coolest scene in film.
The music too, and that.
Yeah, it's one of the best opening scenes of any movie, really.
Yeah.
You're introduced to the Joker in such a crazy and unique way.
Yeah, it really like hit home. It was cool. It was like an
Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger.
Let's put a smile on your face. All right.
Yeah. No, I'm supposed to kill the bus driver.
Yeah.
He's got that whole intricate plan where he like talks them all into killing each other.
Dang you, Heath Ledger. Man, that's such a good movie. Yeah. So
that one's up there for sure.
Cool. I was going to bring up unless you have anything else about Val Kilmer, again, rest in peace. He has a ton of good movies. I mean, he's in a lot of stuff. Obviously, Top Gun is one of the, epic movie as well. Morgan Wallen, he's getting a lot of flack for walking off the stage. I watched that video. He was on Saturday Night Live. He performed, and they're at the end, and he hugs a couple of the cast members and just walks out, and people were like blasting him about, oh, he's leaving, because he made a post after. It says, "I'm headed back to God's country." God's country. But
I think the problem, and I don't ever want to get political on the podcast, but I think there's just this divide between certain groups.
Yeah.
And I think obviously Morgan Wallen kind of leans more, I think, conservative.
Yeah.
And SNL is more liberal.
Yeah.
And so I think just generally like New Yorkers or whatever is just kind of look at that stuff. They always try to find like negative things, and
yeah, for sure.
Obviously, you see that from both sides. I'm not trying to take one side or the other. I just feel like I think people try to find negative things when there's not really negative 100%. Things there.
And he's kind of a polarizing figure. Had that video that came out a long time ago.
Oh, with him and his friends.
Yeah,
I mean, he went through that. Whatever. We're past all that, but I think some people probably still think about that, and they just.
He's
look at him
popular.
As a bad guy. And,
he's got a great. I like a lot of his songs. I know it's kind of more pop country, which I typically don't like.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Wallen fan personally,
but I like his voice. I like his song. I made a song with what's his face?
Post Malone.
Yeah, Post Malone. That song was.
That's just a great song though. It's like the biggest hit of the summer last summer.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to. Yeah, you talked about politics, which we try to stay away from that, and religion. But I will say too, drinking whiskey and bourbon. That's whiskey can bring. We talk about how divided our country is, which we haven't really talked about. But you look at it, we're super divided. But that's one thing that also too about whiskey. It brings people from all divides together. You got your super hardcore Republicans, your Democrats. Sometimes when you're sitting down enjoying a bottle of whiskey, you forget all that stuff and you get to be the person. Because we let that stuff define us, and it's not who we are, right? It's our ideals or political views. And a lot of people call me liberal or whatever, Democrat, but I am a moderate. I do. I like to try to be even divide. I think there's problems on both sides of the house, but I think that's another awesome thing about whiskey is you can sometimes forget about that stuff and realize we're human beings and we have feelings and we care and we want people to be successful and we want what's best for our country and stuff like that. So again, I don't want to get into a political debate, but I think that's important. That's another thing, one thing that I really enjoy and love about, what whiskey can do and bring people together. So
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a political conversation with a whiskey gathering because it's just not something people generally in this community ever care to talk about, really.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's a lot of people who are very passionate about that kind of stuff, but I just personally just don't care to talk about the stuff just because, honestly, and a lot of people, you know, just most of it just doesn't affect you, really. Like, there are some things that are going to affect you, but I think people just let their emotions get the best of them. And really, you know, and I post about this all the time, you know, I think more people need a positive mindset and enjoy your life. You know, you only get one life. Go out there. Go out there and enjoy it. Don't stop worrying about what some person in Washington, D.C. is doing or tweeting or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
You know,
Life's a garden. Dig it. That's what I'm gonna get my tattoo.
There you go.
that'd be a good one, man.
Dude, that would be pretty.
You get Joe Dirt with a firecracker or something.
Yeah. You don't have no whistling Dixies, no Texas or whatever. I don't know. Snizzling snakes. I don't know. I was gonna keep going, but I completely butchered that.
You should have pulled it up on your phone.
Yeah, and
had it ready to go, man.
I did. That's the most incoherent thing I've ever heard. All right. Well, you have anything else to add or anything else you want to talk about in pop culture pour? All right. We're going to move over to neat and balance. So Garrett's actually going to lead us off and share some of it. He actually has a really cool idea for a recipe that I'm going to try. So, and then Chad may have something you may share, drop us some health. And I've got maybe one new health recipe I wanted to share. But yeah, eating healthy. We're getting ready for summer. What do you got? You got a cool one.
Yeah, so there's this recipe that my boss kind of got me onto. It was you take those low carb tortillas. There's a few different brands, so I think there's a couple different things that you can use. But then you get these real good. It's called Real Good Foods Company lightly breaded chicken breast strips. They're gluten free. The breading is actually made with whey protein and chickpeas, which is a good source of protein.
Yeah.
Each serving has 23 grams of protein and 3 grams of net carbs. So
yeah, and I think it's 120 calories. Actually, I was watching a guy. He was saying the top 3.
130. Yeah.
Yeah, 130. The top 3 things to get at Costco or whatever else for high protein meals, and that was actually number 1 on his list.
Yeah. So you take those, and my boss, he says, you know, it says to leave them in there for 14 minutes. You actually do 17 minutes to get them a little extra crispy there. Put them on the tortilla. He recommends like a broccoli slaw. I haven't tried that yet, but that does sound pretty good. And then the sauce that he gave me was 2 tablespoons PB Fit, which is just the powdered peanut butter, 2 tablespoons sugar-free syrup, 2 tablespoons of sriracha, and 1 teaspoon of sugar-free caramel syrup, which I actually used honey instead because I'm not the biggest fan of caramel, but I might try that again. I might try that one day. But yeah, I did that, and it was actually super good. And it gives you a little spice kick. It was really, really good. I'm like, man, I might start making this kind of my lunch with my yogurt and just get all the protein.
No, for sure. I mean, that's again good if you're eating more protein. A lot of people, again, we talked about tracking calories and different things like that, and you don't have to be super religious about it, but it is good to get an idea. Like, if you prepare 3 or 4 main meals and you can track your calories, because it's all calories in, calories out. You know, I'm still want to. You know, I talked to Alex. You know, he does whiskey weight loss. We want to get him on the podcast. We just need to kind of nail down a time. He's pretty busy as well, but you know, if you eat more protein, it's going to help you stay full, stay more satiated, and help you build muscle. And that's, you know, should be your goal. The more muscle you have, the more calories and fat you burn. So, and it's kind of a vicious cycle from there. But I think that's an awesome. I'm looking forward to actually trying those. I wanted to share basically a recipe that I found, and I haven't tried this yet. So, but it's a no-bake oatmeal chocolate chip cookie protein balls, which I know you make protein balls, which we've talked about on a previous episode.
I use the there's a Kodiak brand one that you get it, you pour it out. It already has the oats and stuff in it. You just add honey, peanut butter, and some water, I think, and then you just refrigerate them. And Danielle is obsessed with them. She will eat the crap out of them within the week.
Sounds awesome.
Unfortunately, I keep having issues finding boxes, so I went to Walmart the other day and they had 2, and I was like, I'm grabbing them now.
Yeah, those things sell.
We'll eat them.
Yeah, I usually
I'll have to let you try some of those, but they're really
for
good.
sure. So these are those protein balls. Basically, you do 1 cup of rolled oats, half a cup of vanilla or chocolate protein powder. I would recommend probably vanilla. just because it mixes better, I think, in most things. And unless you love super chocolatey things, a fourth cup of creamy peanut butter, almond butter. I like to use peanut butter personally. And then you can use like a fourth cup of honey or maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of maple extract, and a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And you basically mix these, roll them up, like you said, refrigerate them.
And some dark chocolate chips usually.
Yeah, and some dark chocolate chips. Yeah.
So I tried something like that, and they just turned out really dry. So I would just recommend playing with that a little bit if you do that. I'm not really sure if it needs more peanut butter or if it needs more. What was I don't remember the recipe quite, but. Maybe some more honey or something. I don't know. But
honey or maple syrup.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more of those if it's turning out a little dry. Because I did that and it turned out really dry and they weren't as good. And I did this Kodiak ones. I'm like, man, this is way easier and they're just way better than what I make. Which I'm not the greatest cook in the world. There could be something I'm not doing right, but yeah, no, they're very good. A very good source of protein. So good little snack to eat throughout the day.
Yeah, Chad, you got any healthy recipes or things that you eat that you would like to share?
I'm really big into this guy on Instagram or like YouTube, TikTok, any one of them. But his bit is like all slow cooker meals that are like meal prepping. I mean, most of them include just chicken and rice, but like different things. Like one of the ones that I've done recently is like a honey chipotle chicken. That's like just
sounds good.
Shredded chicken. You can do it in a burrito or like by using one of those low carb tortillas. But I just did rice bowls with it and threw in some like chives and stuff like that to give it a little bit more inside of it with just a bowl of rice. So I usually just kind of pick what that guy's got going on and try that out. Usually it's like enough for, a full week's worth of meal prep, and then he does like breakfast stuff too. But I've tried to like narrow it down to where I'm eating like 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, just depending on what, and like using water and fasting as well. Yeah. So that's been like my new shtick. But.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when I was really hardcore meal prepping, and I'm starting to do a lot more meal prepping. Not last week because I was traveling, but the week before I made I fried up a bunch of chicken breasts in the air fryer. And then did a sweet potato, and cut them in half. And I had lunches every day. It was nice, pretty packed protein. But I used to make like a meat dish, basically, where it was when I was doing like a more paleo-driven diet, which I think is really easy to make. I got the 90-10 meat, which is a little, not as much flavor as the 80-20, but if you're trying to cut calories and reduce your fat. And then I'd mix it up with vegetables. I'd get a lot of fresh vegetables like broccoli, green peppers, onions. Yeah. Whatever vegetables you like, the more the merrier, I think, for that. Little spinach. And then I'd cook it, in like a what do they call it? Like a wok. Yeah, I'd cook it and crack a couple eggs just for extra protein. And then when I'd separate them in meal containers, and then when I would have them, I would cut up a little bit of avocado, and I would make some like high protein sour cream with Greek yogurt, and then just put a scoop of that and put some fresh jalapeno or use regular jalapenos and put on top, and that's a really good lower calorie meal you can have. It's a lot healthier. It's easy to make. Like you just really throw everything in the wok, and cook it. So. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of different things. I'm looking at a lot more meals as it starts getting not today, but as it starts getting warmer. Adding more cardio to my diet too as well. I'm doing more cardio at the gym, walking more. I try not to run as much. It's better on my ankles and knees, but I do jog a little bit, but focusing more on walking. I mean, you can do a lot, getting over 10,000 steps in a day, going to the track, taking phone calls while I'm walking a couple miles. So
my physical therapist always recommended if you're doing a track to walk the corners and run the straights.
Okay.
Is better on like your knees and stuff.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I've been thinking about ordering a weighted vest too as well, just to add a little bit extra resistance. So But
do that or put ankle weights on.
Yeah, or both. Yeah, you can definitely do that.
I always heard the ankle weights weren't great for your ankles, but the vest was a lot better for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I heard I think the ankle weights can mess with your knees or something. Because I did back in high school, I used to do that kind of stuff, and they always said, no, don't do the ankle weights, do the vest for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Any other recipes? I mean, we could talk about recipes all day long. If you were looking for stuff, guys, it's easy to find. YouTube it. TikTok it.
All my meals are YouTube meals now.
Yeah, I mean, just there's so much information online. There's so many people doing, basically giving their entire diet out. So if you really want to eat healthier, and the cost of eating out and everything, and again, eating healthy is expensive.
Oh yeah.
It's not cheap, but the way you'll feel so much better. I hate to say that old saying, you are what you eat, but no pun intended there, but you really do. Diet is so critical to getting healthier and feeling better. But, so anyways, that'll conclude Neat and Balance. And now we're going to close it out with Last Call with the Bourbon Nerds. So,
damn, y'all are 2 for 2 on that.
I know, man.
Lots of practice, man. We're like 20 episodes in.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So again, I want to, Chad, I just want to wish you happy birthday, man. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us.
Yeah.
Do a little, what is that singer says that? Anyways, my fiance loves that guy. The bald guy. What's his name? Pitbull. Yeah.
Pitbull.
You could be
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me.
He's like, yeah, that bald guy. What is his name?
Sorry. Yeah. Can you?
Howie Mandel.
Dr. Evil. So now I just want to wish you happy birthday. So I wanted to actually talk about, and this is kind of a little bit emotional for me, but I want to dedicate this episode to my grandfather who passed away yesterday. Actually, today is his birthday. So I wanted to.
Today was his birthday?
Yeah.
Today. Oh, so him and Chad have the same birthday.
Him and Chad
That's
have the
crazy.
same birthday. And, I've known Chad forever. And
Same year.
Just realized. Yeah. No, he has the easiest birthday ever to remember. So it's, but, we'll talk about that after the pod. I don't want to give out his personal information on the podcast, but yeah, again, was the closest thing to a father I had. He helped raise him, and my grandmother, who's no longer alive as well, helped raise me. And, he taught me a lot that I know. The man I am today is due to him. And I wanted to give him a shout out, dedicate this podcast to him. And my advice to anyone out there, if your dad, mom, grandfather, grandmother is still alive, I know sometimes, you can have differences of opinions. Me and my grandpa argued a lot. We disagreed on a lot of politics and stuff, but I loved him to death. And, he was a man of faith and a soldier for the Lord, and he's now in heaven. And I wanted to take an opportunity to share that. Call your mom, call your dad, tell them you love them. There's going to be a point where those phone calls will no longer happen. As sometimes awkward, he would love to call me when I was on my executive meeting. Hey, did you watch the Dallas Mavericks game or whatever sports game? Do you see LeBron or whatever else it is? So, I'm going to miss those phone calls. And I just wanted to publicly say I love him. And I appreciate everyone that's, all the kind words, thoughts, text messages, Facebook Messenger. A lot of people have reached out. So appreciate it. Pray for my family. It's definitely a difficult time, but he's definitely in a better place. And I just wanted to dedicate this podcast to him, not to get too sappy on here, but yeah. And then to different news, we got a lot of exciting things happening, man. So
we do. So this Saturday, which we'll have whenever you guys hear this podcast, will have been in the past, and you'll probably see the video because Damon's going to come up from Open Season Operator.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll have a video come out and talk about it, but he's going to be on the podcast coming up, so that'll be really fun. At this point, the video should be up. I assume he'll film it and post it up this next weekend. But so that should be available. We got Randall Sullivan.
Yeah, from the Bourbon Real Talk.
Awesome. The Prideful Goat.
Yeah, which is one of your new favorite bottles.
The Prideful Goat 12 is great, dude.
One of the best rye, I think, values on the market right now.
Yeah, for sure. 12-year for like $46.
Yeah.
You can't beat a good 12-year rye for. I think it's a really good 7-year Canadian rye, finished 5 years in Texas. So.
Yeah, Randall's just been a blessing to us. Giving us advice, giving us contacts. I mean, he's just a great guy. Like, he's got some great story. I'm really excited to get him on the podcast.
And he has an insane Jack Daniel's story. So I'm really excited to talk to him and get him to speak about, because he loves Jack Daniel's. He's a huge Jack Daniel's fanboy. So
yep. And then speaking of people who've been good, giving us good advice and blessing, Bourbon Hunter, he's gonna be on our podcast. He's agreed to that. He's got great videos out there. Highly recommend checking out his stuff. We're excited, to get phase 2 for us started where we'll be recording, video casting. We're gonna. There's a lot I don't want to talk about because I want to get a little more baked. But we're talking about a monthly stream.
We're still a few months out from video. We need to get a couple things set up. So we're a few months out there, but we do have an order in for T-shirts.
Yep.
And so merchandise will start going. We'll have this first round of T-shirts, and then slowly start growing more and more stuff. We'll have whiskey glasses, Glencairns. We'll have hats, things like that. So first, it's going to start with shirts as the base, and then kind of go from there. So
and then we're going to be doing a Star Wars episode. Ethan's going to join us for
Can't
that.
freaking wait!
Yeah, I'm excited about that one. Garrett and Ethan are going
poopy all over it.
They're gonna let their heart sing on that one.
It's basically going to be the good, the not so bad, and then the horrible.
I got a pretty hot take on episode 1.
Give me your hot take real quick.
Yeah.
Is it a long hot take? No.
I think episode 1 is the last time that movies had freedom, right? So
are you talking about like the Jar Jar Binks thing and kind of the hate he got after that?
Sort of like I think that like he got away with a lot of stuff that you can't get away with nowadays, and it didn't do as hot as they wanted it to do. So now, like, movie production companies are afraid to take risks. That's why you get a lot of like sequels and stuff falling back on nostalgia.
Really bad remakes. Live action. I wish Disney would stop making these live action remakes.
And I think like episode 1 was like the tipping point of that, because of just like it was. The movie's fine, like from a Star Wars perspective.
I mean, the Darth Maul fight's one of the best.
He's one of the best fights out there.
Star Wars, and universe. Like I'm not the biggest Star Wars head, but like I do think that like that was like the catalyst of like we're kind of just getting regurgitated movies in just different aspects now, and it kind of is like a bummer. Like you wouldn't see like a Heat nowadays, or like a movie that's trying to take a risk.
Yeah,
like I think the one production company that does take risks now is like an A24.
Yeah,
right?
A24 does a lot of original stuff.
But you could say that about the music industry too. You're getting a lot of regurgitated songs.
Yeah, well, the music industry is just a different beast.
Yeah,
I could go on for days about the music industry.
Like I was watching this interview with Benny Blanco, and just all the different things he actually writes and creates. I'm like, artists don't do their own stuff very often anymore.
It's
all basically one or two people like out there just writing everything.
There's a template, and they follow the template. That's why like underground music or like rock music or something is like a different level to that, because you actually get stuff that people are putting in their artwork, it's their art that they're creating, where like your pop music is just literally templated music.
But going back to your Darth Maul thing, on the Star Wars one, I'll tell you what George Lucas's idea for the sequel trilogy, and basically Kathleen Kennedy said, no, we're not going to do that. But it was a really cool idea, and I was like, I'm really pissed that it didn't happen. So can't wait to tell you about that.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that. So I'm excited to
But she's going to be gone. Whenever I saw that she was retiring at the end of the year, I was like, yay, ding dong, the wicked.
Dude, that is so weird. I was thinking, when I heard that and read that article that y'all sent in a chat, I thought the same freaking thing.
The wicked witch is dead.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer, because like you don't get cool. You like up until A24 started like pumping out like good, cool movies, you didn't really get that for a long time. It was just like
I mean, the Oscars have gotten kind of like, I used to have like a big party for like the Oscars and stuff. I don't even watch them anymore. They're just, to me, they want to hit a certain, like, you have to have a certain thing in your movie to even be nominated. I'm just like, that's ridiculous. You should be nominating what is actually the best movie or what is actually the best performance. And a lot of it feels political, and I hate that. I feel like a lot of things have become political, and it's kind of annoying.
The 1 year that Parasite won, that was like the break, and it was like we might have actually broken the spell. We might actually get cool movies again, and like
nope.
Straight back to like, and like I know people really love superhero movies and they love like the high action and all that stuff. They're not for me. Like I want the like stuff like Parasite and like the smarter, like you have to think about the movie type of thing. Like I'll watch a superhero movie all day, like they're fun, but like I also want the like thing that's going to make me think through the movie, Annihilation, great book, great movie, left you on a tale where like you had to like, what the hell is actually happening?
The ending was kind of out there, but I did love that movie. Which I love that director, Alex Garland. Is that his name? Yeah, I love Alex Garland movies. He does a great job.
Villeneuve
Yeah.
that dude gets away with like so much cool stuff, and it's like, dude, let's just let these guys.
Did you?
Yeah, I love Edgar Wright movies too. He's actually doing the
Edgar Wright's-
remake of The Running Man. That should be
nice.
pretty with Glenn Powell. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Did you like the last Batman movie?
The one with
Robert Pattinson?
Oh yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, to me it was like a crime.
Well, yeah, it's the first
think
time they
it's
actually have Batman as a detective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's number 2 behind Dark Knight.
Okay.
Like-
yeah, it was okay.
And to me personally, I put the Bane one of that trilogy up there pretty high, and a lot
Yeah.
of people,
Dude, I love that movie. I love Bane.
Tom
and a
Bane
lot
Hardy's
of-
so good.
he
and a lot
eats
of
up the
people-
scenery, man.
yeah, a lot of people hate it because of the voice. And it's like, dude, just look past the voice.
You think darkness is your ally?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I
every
was
part of that
born in
movie's
it,
sick except for the
molded by
voice.
it.
You know, and
I like
it's
to-
like, I don't know, man.
I have a funny story. I can't. I'm not going to tell on the podcast, but because it'll make Brian mad. But we got home late and we had to get a ride from a friend that he had in the past, and I was doing that Bane voice. It was after that movie came out, and I was like, Brian, you're going to get in trouble from your wife. It's funny, but I'll have to tell you the full story
but
after the
I don't-
podcast.
He's just so intimidating. It is.
Yeah.
I actually really like that movie a lot.
Back is broken.
I mean, it has its flaws for sure.
Yeah,
like
no.
just blowing up all the bridges and
The funny thing about when you were talking about the Oscars and I brought up the Parasite thing was with that Parasite movie, I had some friends that were in like film school that got early access to that movie and got to see it during like the DFW, like it's kind of like their small version of South by Southwest that they do for film. And like I ran into them at the bar and we were talking about the Quentin Tarantino movie that came out that same year, which was
is that the Hateful Eight?
no, it was the Hollywood one.
Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah.
We were talking about that and we were like, man, that's like a movie that we think is going to win the Oscars, blah, 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 blah.
No, it definitely. I mean, honestly, and I love Tarantino. I feel like every movie he should at least be nominated for best original script because he's just an insane writer.
Yeah. But we were talking about that and then the guys from the film school came up and like I knew them from Magic, funny enough.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it and he was like, dude, wait until you see this movie Parasite. It's going to blow your socks off. Like if you think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's very good, this is leaps and bounds better. And like it just stuck in my head and I waited for that movie to come out and I watched it and I was like, this movie's so good. And it's a foreign film, so it's like hard, like a lot of people don't want to watch that stuff.
Why won't you read?
That's my problem. Is like it has to be entertaining enough for me to sit there and and multitask like that. One of the other ones that really kind of gets me there is Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
A phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
It's Hispanic by Guillermo del Toro, who's one of my
seen it.
favorite directors.
Yeah.
He's a very smart director.
Yeah, I love everything. He's actually coming out with a Frankenstein movie, which I think is going to be really
sick.
good.
I saw
So,
that.
So
I'm
yeah,
excited about
Parasite's one of those that I watched. I haven't wanted to go back and watch it again, but I actually really did like it. I actually wasn't mad that it won. There's been many movies like I feel like have won or been nominated that didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
I won't talk about the ones this year. Whatever.
We already talked about that.
Yeah, we did already kind of. I did already kind of have my spiel about it. But I did feel like Parasite was, and I'm trying to remember all the movies that were that year because honestly, they don't typically do the foreigns. They're just like, oh, we'll give this one best foreign film, and then I'd have to go back and look at what was all nominated that year because there was something I thought would have won.
I think it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, that one was up there. Actually, the next year it was Everywhere Always.
Yeah.
Everywhere
always some.
at Once or
That's
that was
a cool
great movie. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I like
It's another A24 one.
Yeah. And so that one was great. And then this year they just kind of went poopy.
Yeah.
No,
Which
I really like
I think
that
it was
movie a lot.
kind of a weaker year
Yeah.
in movies. So maybe this year will be better. I've seen quite a few good movies this year. So hopeful for the Oscars next year. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, there won't be any. Never mind. I'm not even going to go there. So, and also too, before we close this out, I do want to remind people we are going to be interviewing Still Austin. We're really excited about that. We're also talking to multiple distilleries right now, setting up some future interviews. So we'll have more details on that. So a lot of great things happening in the bourbon nerd world. Again, thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you guys for the support. Please continue to share. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, all the things that we need to continue to sustain this long term. We are fully engaged and want this to be a long-standing podcast that you enjoy. We've got much we got a ton of ideas and things that are coming down the road. So we'll have some events we'll be posting before too long. And yeah, just great things happening. We appreciate it. Chad, thank you for being on the podcast on your birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No, you're very welcome. It was very nice to have you on. It's a breath of fresh air. And as always, I'm Cody.
I'm Garrett.
And we are the Bourbon Nerds.
Damn, 3
Cheers.
for 3.
I know, dude. Kobe!
Get it, girl.
The Bourbon Nerds podcast is hosted and executive produced by Cody Mills and Garrett Welch. The show is produced, mixed, and edited by me, Ethan Adams. The show features original music by Alex Pitts. You can find the Bourbon Nerds on all the major social media platforms. Please follow, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice. It really does help the show. Please don't hesitate to send an email or message on social media. We love to hear your thoughts, comments, and bourbon suggestions. The Bourbon Nerds would like to remind the audience to always drink responsibly, know your limits, and never drink and drive. Be sure to check in every Sunday for a brand new episode. Cheers!